Hi, my name is Tinne and I'm head of design of Victoria Designs, and our mission is to help you make awesome paper crafts. And you're here today because you want to make one of our junk journal project packs. Welcome! And this video is about the Botanical Compendium Junk Journal Project Pack. A beautiful set of crafting printables, all things botanical. You will get 24 journal pages, 6 sheets filled with embellishments, and 8 full-size papers. Of course, in this video there's also a tutorial how to create this beautiful journal from scratch. The base tutorial for this junk journal is made with other designs, but it can perfectly be made with the pages and sheets from this project pack. You can discover this project pack in our shop. Just click on the link below. And now let's start crafting. To make this journal we need some pieces of cardboard. For the front and back cover I advise cardboard that is about 1 millimeter thick, that's about 1/16 of an inch or a bit more. And these two pieces are 5 1/4 of an inch by 8. Now for the spine, this is actually only going to be used to fortify the spine. I'm going to use this 1 millimeter piece because it's perfectly what fell off my sheet, but you can use a thinner piece if you like cardboard from a cereal box or something. Perfectly possible. And this is also 8 inches long and 1 1/4 of an inch wide. First thing I'm going to do is to wrap these covers. And to wrap these two covers on the outside, I printed 2 pieces of paper on 160 grams paper. Now every junk journal project pack has some full-size papers in them that you can use to cover your covers. I cut these approximately 6 by 9 inches, so they are perfectly able to cover this cardboard. I have some room left over to put my tape. You can print your paper full page and then cut out 6 by 9. But what I did was lower the ink percentage, so I had smaller pieces of paper and I didn't waste all that ink that I was going to cut off. But that's totally up to you. And let me show you how I do one cover piece and then the other is exactly the same. Like always, I start with putting some double-sided tape. You can of course use glue, but tape's so handy. So I'm gonna put tape all along the edges, right next to the edge of the cardboard. Come as close as possible. And then remove your backings. Put some glue in the center. You can use liquid glue. I'm just going to use a strong glue stick because it's so much faster. I know patience is a virtue, but yeah, you know. And then put this cardboard in the center like this, and make sure it's straight so that your pattern or your image isn't going to be like crooked. Okay, like this. Make sure there are no air bubbles if you use liquid glue, and then cut out the corners. Make sure the angle is quite straight, not like this, but quite straight. And leave about 1 millimeter, so a little bit of extra paper next to the corner so you can actually cover it. And then turn your scissors and make another almost straight cut like this. I mean, just don't go too much like this. Make sure the tab has enough paper. This, leave a little bit at the corner and turn. And do that on all 4 corners. Like this. And then I advise to pre-fold your tabs. Now, this one is a bit wider, but that actually doesn't matter at all. Okay, pre-fold your tabs, open them up again, and then put some tape and put it right next to the cardboard. even if your tab is wider than your tape. I'm using 3/4 inch tape, that's about 9mm I think. Like this, cut it off. You do that for all 4 tabs. Like this. Make sure the tape sticks on all sides. Okay, remove your tape and fold the tab over. Really pull so that you don't have any air bubbles. Okay, and I advise to always do first the tabs on the opposites of each other. So I always start with the short ones, but you can easy enough start with the long ones first. Like this. Does it have to be 160 grams paper, this paper? No, it doesn't. If you have grey cardboard with no images on there from cereal boxes, etc., it's okay to use lighter paper. You can use 120 grams paper or the regular kind of paper like 80 grams, etc. It works easier than this heavy paper. But I like the nice finish, and yeah, that's just me. First cover is ready, and I'm going to do exactly the same with the other cover piece. So I covered my 2 cover pieces, and I'm going to put these aside for a while. Now I am going to concentrate on the spine, and I'm not going to work with tape like I sometimes do, but I'm going to make the spine with these. You need 2 pieces of paper for this. This is 160 grams craft paper. These are both 8 inches high, the same height as the cover pieces, and the outer spine piece, that's the wider piece, is 2 1/4 inch wide, and the inner spine piece is 1 7/8 inch wide. And the first thing I'm going to do is to give it a kind of a leathery look is to ink these. I have an old ink pad with kind of a dark red-brown color. I'm going to put piece of scrap paper underneath and add some ink, and I'm just going to color this. You see, my ink is actually it's an old one. It doesn't have a lot of ink in there anymore, but it's okay, it still works, which is great. You can use it for this. So I'm just literally going to dab all over it. It's okay if you have some brush texture on there. It adds to the kind of leather look that it will have. So, yeah. And then do the same with the other one. Of course, you can use any color that you like. And also, this step is actually optional. It just adds to how it's going to look. So I really like inking these. But in the end, to have a sturdy journal, this isn't totally necessary. But it's so nice, so please do it. And then leave these to dry. Wash your hands. So these are dry, and the next step is to score these. I'm gonna start with the outer spine. And score the outer spine on 3/8 inch from a side and 1/2 inch from the side. So from this side as well, 1, 2, 3/8 inch and 1/2 inch from each side. And from the inner spine as well, 3/8 inch from the side and 1/2 inch from the side. On the other side as well, 3/8 inch from the side, 1/2 inch from the side. And I also want a scoring line in between there. So what I'm gonna do is just gonna use this line. position this paper so that I can make an extra fold in between there. And do that on all 2 sides. There. So this one, just fold all 3 folds a bit together inside. These 3 scoring lines are not meant to be scored neatly, all 3 of them. Is just to have more options when you apply this. So leaving it like this is okay, you don't really have to fold it. The outer one you have to fold in a specific way. I'm gonna start with the folds most into the center, so the 1/2 inch folds. I'm gonna fold it like this. So have it upside down and I fold it inwards. Same with this one. And then the other fold, the 3/8 of an inch fold, fold it outward. I'm gonna take it like this. Same on the other side. Like this. Make quite sharp folds, but make sure you don't tear the paper, of course. So, and to make these folds more profound, I'm gonna ink them with darker ink. And first I'm gonna bend this open again. I have some black ink here and I'll have to apply a bit because this is a new sponge. Okay. And I'm gonna fold it over and just go over these folds with the ink. Now I'm also going to fold the other fold inward a little bit so I can get some ink in there as well. I'm going to fold it back to the other way in a second. Again, this is not necessary, but it gives a nice shading to the whole. Okay, same on the other side. Okay. And now I'm going to take my scrap paper again and I'm going to Mod Podge these. I'm gonna give it the first layer, let it dry, and give it the second layer. So try to keep your brush strokes kind of neatly. It'll curl up for a bit, but that's okay. And of course you can leave the black ink that you just applied to dry first before doing this, but this way it'll smudge a little bit and it makes the shading effect even better. So I'm not going to wait for that. So, okay. Just make sure every piece is covered. Do the same with the inner spine. Okay. Make sure these aren't sticking to the paper underneath. You can use some wax paper or parchment paper underneath. If you have, okay. See, and that's why. Okay, no harm done. Just make sure it's not sticking to anything. And let dry thoroughly. Doesn't take too long. So that didn't take long at all. So now we're going to apply the second coat. Make sure you don't have any fingerprints on there. And again, make sure it doesn't stick. Okay, other one as well. And make sure you cover it completely. And then let dry again. So these are dry. If you like, you can add a third coat, but that's not necessary. That's just personal. Okay, I'm gonna flip these over. And just to be sure, I'm going to ink the back just on the top and the bottom. So if you happen to get a peek inside the spine, you won't see blank colored spine, you will see a darker spine. It'll just be prettier. So just the top and the bottom is okay. Okay, now I'm going to take a smaller piece of cardboard, which theoretically should be 1 1/4 inch wide, but it's always better to make it a little bit smaller. It really needs to fit inside this outer spine piece. So when you fold, the size of folds would still be at the right place. It might be necessary for you to shave off, to cut off like a millimeter or 1/16 of an inch, just a little bit. Okay, and then I'm just going to apply 3 pieces of my double-sided tape. You can use glue, of course, as well. Or if you have the wider tape, less, and if you have smaller tape, more. Just make sure this will stick on that. That's okay. Remove all your backings and place it in there, nicely in the center, like this. If, like here, the cardboard sticks out like a little bit, it's almost nothing, but just going to cut it off just a little bit so it won't show as much. I'm also going to ink the top and the bottom of this bag as well, and here on top also, to make sure everything blends in with each other. So this is just in case you would take a peek inside, and now everything will be hidden completely. Now, also optional for the elastic on the outside to keep the book closed, I'm going to put a hole with an eyelet in the center of this spine, and I'm going to do that now. Again, optional. So for that, I'm going to find the center of this piece of cardboard. So here should be the center. And since this is cardboard, I'm going to use the crocodile. You can also use like these tools that punch holes in leather belts, etc. So I'm going to go for a 1/8 of an inch hole. If you like a bigger hole, of course, use a 3/16 of an inch. And it's only a matter of really, yep, that's good. So I have my hole here. I'm gonna choose this eyelet. Make sure the eyelet and the hole size match. This. Put it on the right setting. Yep, that's all right. And put in place. There we go. I'm gonna put this aside for a while, and then I'm going to add some sewing holes in this one. So turn around, and I'm going to find the center of this hole width. So find the center, and then go 1/4 of an inch that way and 1/4 of an inch the other way. And I'm gonna do exactly the same on the other side. Then I'm just going to connect these markings. So, and now I'm going to measure lengthwise. This is 8 inches long and I'm gonna mark it at 1, 3, 5 and 7 inch. So 1, 3, 5 and 7. So each of these 4 markings are 2 inches apart. I'm gonna do exactly the same on the other side. And again, I'm going to connect these. So now we have 12 places where these lines cross, and those are going to be the holes. So I'm gonna punch these holes at those 12 crosses. There we go. Okay, now for the markings, these lines don't mind at all. Just on the side, I'm going to erase them a little bit. You can also, again, hide them with some ink. There we go. So I'm gonna put this aside for a while and we're going to glue this spine to our 2 covers. Now, make sure your covers are facing the right side, right way up. Let's see, I want them, okay, I definitely want them this way. Good. And make sure this is going to be the front of the book and this is going to be the back cover. Don't mix them up. To attach these, I'm going to apply some tape on the outer tab here next to the outer scoring line. So here, if you accidentally get some tape on this little piece in between, it's okay, but it's not necessary. So this, if you have smaller tape, you can add 2 pieces on top of each other. So make sure your tape goes to the edge, but not over the edge. And let's make a good bond. There. Okay. Remove one of the backings. Take one of your covers, make sure it's facing all the right side up, etc, etc, etc. Line it up with the top and the bottom and the side of this tape. And if you're super sure, put it down. Like this. Other side, I'm gonna turn it over after this. Okay. This, again, make sure it's all facing the right side up, etc. Line it up. And if you're sure, there. Turn it around and give it a good rub. Oh yeah, now I see you could indeed also have inked these edges of the spine, but that's okay. There. Happy with that. And now it's time, if you made this hole, to add the elastic as well. I have a piece of elastic here. It's about, when not stretched, it's about a millimeter thick, about 1/16 of an inch, I think. And now it's a matter of making sure it's tight enough and not too tight. So turn it around. My elastic is now more than long enough, I assure you. It is, yeah, 15 inches long. That's too much, but I want some work room with my ends, etc. So I'd rather have it too long in the beginning than not enough. Put both of these ends through this hole. Okay. And then hold it here. Actually, I'm gonna take a clip. You can use a binder clip as well. This is a clip that's used for sewing. They hold your fabric together. They pinch really hard. Okay. And now I'm gonna check if it's too tight or not tight enough. Okay, this is comfortable enough. And think about it, it'll be filled, so it'll have a bit more. So it's always a good idea to keep your finger in here as well. Okay, I'm going to make it a bit more tight because over time this will get looser, I think. Okay, finger between there, and it's still okay. Okay, let's see if I can get away with a little bit more tight. You see, this was more than enough. Okay, let's see again if this is okay. Okay, this is too tight. This isn't comfortable anymore. I'm gonna back to this length. Let's mimic some. Yeah, I'm gonna have it at this length. To make sure you won't pull this elastic through while you're using your journal, I always like to make like this kind of button from paper and glue it on here. Let me show you. Okay, I have this little piece of paper. This is sturdy paper. This is way too large. And I'm gonna kind of make a rectangle. Okay, and then I'm gonna punch 2 holes in it, but a little bit away from each other, like this. And yeah, think of it as some kind of a button. And now I'm gonna thread these through, each through 1 hole. Like this. Gonna keep my elastic in place as much as possible, like this. And I'm actually going to put this on here so it won't move anymore. Gonna put a little bit of glue on the back side. So don't worry, it doesn't matter what kind of paper, what color you use, because you won't see this. Okay, so some glue on here. Then I'm actually going to glue this piece on. This. And now I can make a knot. I can safely do that because this clip is holding everything into place. So, I'm gonna make a double knot. Like this, and this you won't see. So, I can release this and my elastic is in place. There, happy with that. And for now, we're going to put this aside. Look how beautiful. And now for the inside of the journal, because a journal is nothing if there aren't any pages in there. So your junk journal project pack has 24 pages. They look like this. They are 10 by 7¾ inch high and wide. Make sure you put your print percentage to 100% and first print one to make sure your printer understands that it needs to be 10 by 7¾ inch, because there might be some irregularities here and there. Make sure that your sizes will be correct. Then print all the other ones, and these ones I already cut out. Now these are all journal pages, you see? But if you think that's too much printing front and back, nevertheless, you can always use regular paper in between. You can use just fully colored paper. What I like to use sometimes is this soft beigey sketchbook paper. Sometimes you have sometimes you have sketchbooks that aren't fully white paper but more of a vintagey antique look paper. Those are fabulous. And these I printed on regular 80 grams paper, so the regular stuff you put in your printer to print a normal letter. So on the back I printed a full page without center line, and I put the print percentage like 2% higher, which means this design is a little bit larger than this design. And now if I cut this out, it will be perfect. You won't see any white edges because it's very, very hard to line up a front and a back. But this way you won't have any problems. So I'm gonna cut out this one as well. Okay, so I have now 24 pages. And I'm going to divide them in piles of 8 sheets each. 24 pages, I mean 24 sheets. And of course, each sheet will be 4 actual pages in the journal. So that's 1, 2, 3, 8. Okay, I made my 3 piles, and now each pile of 8 sheets I'm going to fold in half. Make sure that all your pages face the right side up if you have printed pages. You can do a last check if you want. Okay. Now I have 3 stacks of papers folded in half, and this is called a signature. Now we're going to punch holes in each signature with the same measurements as these holes. So simply going to do that. I'm gonna take my mat. I'm gonna fold them open like this. Make sure you can really see where your folding line is, because yeah, of course, these old center lines, they're very pretty, but also a bit distracting. Now I'm going to put this inner spine with all the markings in the center here. Make sure you have like an 1/8 of an inch on each side left, because this is a bit larger than this. And now you can see very well where the 4 holes should come. So I only have to do this. So this inner spine acts as a template as well. So do that with all 3 signatures. If you want to make sure these papers don't move, put some binder clips on the edges so they actually indeed won't move at all. Okay. Now the next step is a bit optional. I do this with all my signatures, but you don't have to. You see, when you fold stacks of paper in half, they won't line up anymore. That's just how it is. So what I like to do is just cut these straight. Just looks a little bit more beautiful, but totally not necessary. If you want to do that, you need a cutting mat, this, metal ruler, and a heavy-duty craft knife. Make sure this is a sharp one, not a dull one, otherwise take another knife. So let me check where I should cut. Yeah, I see I have to cut at 1/16 of an inch less than 5 inch, which is great. Okay, I'm gonna use the grid on my cutting mat as a guideline to make sure I'm cutting straight. Then I'm gonna step out of the way for a bit. Never cut directly to yourself. So I'm gonna turn this around a little bit as well. And then just start sliding your knife soft against the ruler. As I say always, firm pressure on the ruler, soft pressure on the knife. Just let the knife do its job. Of course, be careful. Just keep sliding through all the layers of the paper. Okay. So, and then your pages are equally long. So I did this with all 3 signatures and I made sure they are equally wide, like this. And now I'm gonna sew these into this spine. For that, I'm gonna need some thread, and I always use embroidery thread because I like it so much, because you can get them in all sorts of colors. The length I'm gonna use is more than twice the length of this spine, so the height of the book, just a bit extra just to be sure. Okay, we have 3 signatures, but you saw that I only cut 2 threads. Well, that is because I'm going to divide these. Most of these threads have like 6 strands, and I only need 3. That's sturdy enough. That makes the thread thinner, and you need less. So just going to unwind these. Of course, then I will have 4 strands, but the other one I will keep for something else. For another craft project, I would certainly not just toss that away. So now I have 3 threads that I can use. I have a needle here, an embroidery needle, and I'm also going to use this clip again. You can use a normal binder clip as well, totally. Okay, I'm gonna thread my needle. I'm gonna take my first signature. Make sure you are happy with the order of the signatures. This is going to be my first signature. My first signature will be in the first row. And I am going to start, flip it over. We have 4 holes, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna start with the second one from the bottom, not the first one, but the second. And I'm gonna go from the back to the front. Okay. And I want to leave a little tail here, about 3-4 inch. Gonna take my clip here. This is going to make your life a lot easier if you just keep that clip there. Okay. And then I'm going to take my signature, fold it open, and also go from the outside in, second hole on the bottom. There. Then I'm gonna go to the first hole, the bottom one, back out, and also through the bottom one of that same row to the back. Yeah. And you can pull because this isn't going anywhere. And then take this out of the way for a little bit just, and go back to the second hole, and also through the second hole on the papers, back inside. Yeah, make sure you're not going through the threads here. Make sure you go next to it, yeah. And now you can pull back, so just pull the strings. Okay. And then you go through the second hole on the top, the next one, and also through the same hole in the inner. Oh, ow, ow, ow. You can also use a embroidery needle with a blunt tip. This is a sharp one. Okay, so back out through the pages and the spine piece. Okay, and then we're just weaving here. Go through the top hole, back out through the spine and pages. Okay, and then back in through the previous one. This. Okay, now put your needle under this piece. Make sure everything's tight, by the way. Make sure there are no loose pieces of thread here. And if you're sure everything's tight, go under this loop on the top, or this one anyway. And then you can remove this and make a knot. Now, if I wouldn't have gone through this, I would need another finger to pull the thread down. But this way you can really pull and make a tight knot. Make 2 or 3 knots you choose, doesn't really matter. Okay, and just snip off the ends. This will be hidden. You won't see this anymore later. Okay, and then do exactly the same with 2 other pieces. Oh yeah, first, before you do that, right, put all your pages to one side and gently fold them, and to the other side as well, fold them. Okay, and then do exactly the same with the other two signatures in the back here. Oh, like this, of course. So all my signatures are sewn into this inner spine, like this. And let me take my cover again. And before I'm going to glue this here, I'm going to attach a label holder here. Again, super completely optional, but I really want to show you how it's done. Okay, I want this label holder, this is a metal label holder here. When you take the center to make sure where you need to put this, I never measure from here, I measure from this line. I always find it looks more centered that way. So the center of 4 7/8 of an inch seems. So that's 2.5 minus 1/16. That is, yeah, that's the center. Okay, so here are where these 2 thingies would be, and I want them, here's good, yep. Okay, I'm gonna mark these holes here. This is the kind of label holder where you actually cannot put a label under when it's there, so I'm gonna put a piece of paper behind there beforehand. And I have just a piece of scrap paper here. I'm gonna make sure, I'm gonna make some markings in these holes. And about here, yeah, then I know kind of what size it needs to be. And I'm gonna cut it out. Something like this. It's probably okay. Okay, let's see. Of course, I have to make it smaller for the holes. Okay, perfect. I'm going to glue this on already. Put some glue here on the label. You can put some glue on the paper as well. Make sure it's glue that can hold metal, of course. If it's too much, it's okay. This is going to go down anyway and not coming loose ever again. There. Okay, let this dry. In the meantime, I am going to punch some holes through here, and I'm simply going to do that with my awl. This here. Yeah, take care. If you want to add a label holder, do it now. Otherwise, later you have to glue it down instead of use the brads, which is perfectly possible as well, of course. But I'm just going to do it like this. So brad through the hole, through here, and open these legs. And do the same with the other one. And open the legs. Push these legs down well enough so they won't be too visible later. And this, of course, will all be covered up later. There. Okay, and now I'm going to make sure this can be glued in here. And I'm gonna do that by putting double-sided tape here on the edge and here on the edge. So go right to the edge. Make sure you have strong double-sided tape, not the kind that comes loose in 2 seconds, of course. It's kind of important. Okay. Also important. Make sure this really sticks. Okay. And then first take your cover, because we haven't done it before. You remember in the beginning of the tutorial I folded this one down and this one up. Well, I'm gonna fold that like that again. So make sure this folds like this. The other side as well. Like this. Okay, so this stands up a little bit. And now I'm going to remove one of the backings. This is the front. Triple check if your pages are facing the right way. The edge of my tape is actually against the 3 folds that I made in the beginning of the tutorial. You see, that's important to mention as well. I'm going to make sure this edge lines up with this edge of this page. And also make sure things are straight as hell. Okay. And when you're sure, glue it down. Push, 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 push. Okay. Then remove second backing. This is a little bit tricky. And do the same. Make sure this edge of this tape comes here on the edge of this cover piece. And for that I'm going to pull and look at the sides. If the sides are all right, and if I'm very sure, I'm going to glue this down. There. And now my spine is like this. Let me show you from the top. See? This is how it should be. And this way this book can be opened completely. See? From the bottom as well. It can be opened completely flat. And the folds that we made in the beginning will make sure that this book folds all the right places. And that's why I made 3 folds in the beginning, right next to each other. Look how pretty this is already. The only thing I need to do now is to glue in the inner covers. Now, if you didn't use this elastic, but and you didn't make a hole, of course, but you'd rather add some ribbons here to close the book, now is the time to do so before we put down the inner covers. Of course, this is optional. Ribbons are optional. The book closes well enough on its own as well. For the inner covers, you can use any paper that you like. I just used regular craft paper. This is 160 grams paper. This is the same material that I used for the spines. But look at the difference. Look what a little bit of ink and Mod Podge can do to turn this into that. It's just fabulous. Okay, the sizes of this are 5 inch by 7 3/4 inch. See? And they fit right here. First, to make it a bit more beautiful, I'm going to give them a little bit of ink on the edge. Totally optional. Again, there are so many options here. I like it. I love it. And then actually very easy, I'm gonna put some double-sided tape all along the edges and some glue in the center and glue them in. Putting in the inside covers is always an easy step, and actually it's a very rewarding step. It's easy and it's like wrapping up a present. It's the finishing touch. Remove the backing before you put glue in the center. Otherwise, you're going to be the one full of glue. Okay. I'm gonna use my glue stick again. Doesn't really matter what type of glue that you use here. Okay. And then make sure there's about 1/8 inch on these 3 sides left. There. And I'm going to do exactly the same on the back. So, and another optional things, oh, this book has so many options, is I'm going to add some of these corners. This could easily fit on a 2mm cardboard cover, but I'm gonna hammer it because it's hammerable. I'm gonna hammer it in place. So I'm gonna put this into place. I have here a metal thingy. You can use a wooden thingy or just, I don't know, on the street. And a little hammer. Just gonna hammer it in place. Yeah, I used to make jewelry, that's why I have all the thingies. Also, this isn't going anywhere. Gonna do that on all 4 sides, all 4 corners, I mean. Essentially, this book is completely ready. See how beautiful it is? Ready for memories. But I'm going to show you how to make large pockets in the front and in the back. And I'm going to show you the one in the front, and then you can make exactly the same one for the back. What you need is a piece of paper that is 10 inches and a quarter by 7.5. You can just go to the full papers in your junk journal project pack, pick out a paper and print it, and print another paper on the back as well. This is going to be the inside, otherwise the inside will be like stark white. That's just not very pretty. Also, I printed this on 160 grams paper. This can be pretty sturdy. And I'm going to score this at 4 inch and 8.5 inch, like that. I'm gonna fold it, this. So this is what it will look like from the outside. So if you think this is weird, you can also go for one of the more patterned papers, of course. I quite like it. And then for one envelope, cut 2 pieces of paper. It could be cut-offs from other paper, make it sturdy as well, like 160. It can be cut-offs, old pieces. I just used the craft paper that I also used here and on the inside. And the size of these is 1.5 inch by 4. Why did I put this away? So. And then score each of those pieces lengthwise every 3/8 of an inch. 3/8 here, here, here. Other one as well. Like this. Fold like an accordion. Out, in, out, in. You've done this as a kid probably 100 of times. Do that with both pieces. If you like, you can cut out a notch in here. Measure the center of this piece. It's 3 3/4 inch. And I'm using a 1-inch hole punch. Line it up. There you go, I have a notch. And now I'm going to ink these parts. So I'm gonna ink this all around, and I'm gonna ink this on the inside and on the outside. If you happen to have very beautiful corner punches or edge punches, go ahead and use them. They're very pretty. Okay, so ink, 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 ink. I'm still using the same ink as I used in the beginning to color the spine, but break it up if you want. Also going to ink this fold, and then the inside here, from here approximately. The rest you won't see. So to here, and also on the outside, just the top flap. And this fold at the top as well. So, and now for the closure, I'm going to go for a classic rope typey closure. And for that I have some offcuts of paper. You can use any type that you want. And this is again the same paper as this. And I'm going to cut out 6 of these circles. This is 5/8 inch. You can make them smaller, whichever circle punch you have. So, and you can really use leftover pieces for this. I'm gonna use 6 circles for now. I think that will be enough for me. And I'm gonna glue them on top of each other 3 by 3. I'm gonna take my piece of scrap paper again to protect my surface. Okay, so the glue stick, it doesn't stick immediately, and you can just keep pushing these around until it's right. Okay, that's 3. So like this, so I have now 3 sturdier circles here. I'm gonna ink the edges again, just to finish it off. So, not necessary, just what you like or not like. This. Then I'm going to punch a hole in the center of both of these. Like this. Take some brads. Okay. So, now where do I want them? Well, I don't like measuring either, but if I don't do it, it's going to be like bleh. And I want it to look like yay. So, I want to put the hole at 5/8 inch from the side. So it's about here. And now where's the center again? Here's where my hole should go. And now I want another, also 5/8 inch from where the flap is. So that's here. Check if that's in the center. more to this place. Okay, now it of course depends. This is of course with a 5/8 of an inch circle diameter. If yours are larger or smaller, adjust the markings of course. Gonna punch through those holes, both of them, and attach these. Now make sure there's a little bit of room under here. So what I'm gonna do is place something underneath to keep it up a little bit. This before I open these legs. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Make it flat. The same through the other hole. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of tape on these. And then just make sure they won't hurt anything that you put into this pocket. Then I'm gonna cut another small circle, or you can actually use a larger circle if you like, to just glue on top so that it's finished properly. I'm gonna use some larger circles. These are the 1 inch. Remove the backing, add some glue on top. And glue this on top. This way it will be finished properly. Hold it until it's dry. Now this one you won't see, this one, but when you put something in there, it won't hook behind these legs. And I like things that are properly finished. And then I'm gonna do the same with this one. This one you will see when you open the envelope pocket, but it's okay. Okay, hold it till all the edges are dry. This might work better to push from the other side. And now you might think, where the hell are these for? Well, we're going to make sure that this pocket can hold quite a bit, like tickets or other types of ephemera. I'm gonna put a piece of double-sided tape on the bottom part, on the top part I mean, of these 4 parts, so on one of these 4 parts, and they are exactly the same width as my tape. If you have smaller tape, just put on one, get it off, and put another one on top. This. So one on top, flip it around, and one on top here as well. So I have one piece on that side and one piece on this side. Repeat with this one. So top here. Make sure this doesn't come further than the fold. Turn around this part. There. And now I'm going to remove here, and I'm gonna glue it under here and make sure that this fold is like a little bit on the outside of this edge. That just makes it easier afterwards. And don't glue it too low, glue it above this fold as well. This just makes that the envelope will fold better. Okay. Good, like this. If it seems that this would be a bit higher than this one, just cut off the excess. I'm gonna do the same on the other side. So here. Okay. So again, make sure this fold is a bit next to the edge and a bit higher than this fold. Okay, now turn over, remove the other backing from one of the sides, fold this inward like an accordion, close the envelope, one side's okay, you can get that in there later, close the envelope and fold this over and glue. So it'll be like this. Do the same on the other side, remove this backing, maneuver this fold inside the envelope, there, that's all. Flatten the envelope and fold over. There, and now you have a wide envelope with lots of space that you can close like this. And now, to put this into the cover here, it's going to go like this. And I'm also going to keep this side open so that you can still put something underneath here as well, that you have some kind of a little pocket. So to do that, I'm going to put tape here, here and here. Here's a side with a flap. You can also use glue if you're afraid that things might get stuck in here, because that's the difference with glue. This will stick forever and keep sticking, sticking, sticking. Glue will dry. That's the difference. But this is so easy. I think I'm going to use this. Okay, so right along the edge. Here as well. And here as well. And on this side you can actually put some stuff in here as well. And then remove these bags. And put into place right here. To finish it off, I'm going to cut another piece of this embroidery thread. Now I'm not going to split it. I'm just going to leave it like this. And I think, yeah, this is more than enough. How much did I take? I took 9 inch, almost 9 inch. Okay, so under there, make a knot, double, triple if you need. Now a hard thing to do is to cut this off far enough so you won't see the end anymore. Okay. If you still see the end, just tuck it in there again. There. And now you can close like this. Actually, I still think that's a bit too long. So yeah, 8 inch will certainly do. There, and you have a beautiful pocket on the inside of your cover, and you can do the same on the back side, and I am going to do that. So, and I made the same kind of envelope for the back as well. And now I have 2 beautiful envelopes that can hold cards and even hold a card in here as well, or a photograph or whatever you like. And this journal is done. Pretty pocket, loads of pages to journal in, and an elastic to close. There we go. So here's a complete Botanical Compendium junk journal made according to the tutorial that you just saw. So, nice leathery looking spine. I use this paper in the front, I use this paper for the back. And on the inside, you don't really see it, but I used the paper with like the rusty textured background a little bit. And then I use these two papers to make these envelopes. And here you see what it looks like in the center. Beautiful pages that you of course can alternate with regular paper. You don't have to use all the journal pages that are in here as I did, but you can of course. Look how beautiful that is. Pretty. Okay, so and here are the pages with embellishments. So there are 6 pages with embellishments included, and I'm going to show you a little bit what you can do with it to finish the journal. Let's see if we can do something pretty here on the cover. And I think I want to use this paper, so I'm gonna cut it out roughly. I print all these on 160 grams paper. Printed on heavier paper is just nicer. So let's see. Not gonna take anything yet from here. Oh, I like this one. Of course, this is rather large. If you think, oh, I want it smaller, just reduce the print percentage before printing and you can have this smaller. Not sure yet if I'm going to use this on the cover or not, but I'm gonna print it out and cut it out anyway. I'm just going to work with this one first. I think that's okay. So what I'm going to do is, because you see these edges are of course torn and it's nearly impossible to get it that way, but it's a good indicator of where you could cut and where you could move your scissors a little bit to make the edges a bit more torn looking. And I'm gonna do something with this later, so you'll see it's going to look a lot better than it is right now. And this is a technique that you can do with all your papery thingies. Okay. Just move your scissors or your paper. You can even move your paper if you like, or both. There we go. Okay. So this is pretty. Yeah, I'm gonna put this on here. But first I'm going to ink the edges with some light colored ink. This is a yellowy colored ink, just to make it stand out a little bit more. Make it look a bit more old and burnt, if you like. So now this looks already very good, and I don't want to glue it down completely to the edges because I want it to look old. And for that I have a very unconventional tool, mainly this thing. And I'm not going to use it to beat eggs. I've never used it to beat anything but paper. And this, I'm actually going to use this to break up this paper. If you give someone a paper and you ask, make this paper look old, the first thing they do is they completely wrinkle it. But that doesn't make it look old, it just makes it look wrinkled. And when you have an old paper, most of the time the middle part is quite okay. It's wrinkled here and there, but it's often the edges that are really beaten up. And that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna beat up these edges. Like, it's okay if it tears, and also with this little thingy, if you get the paper between the wires, you can really get in there and make them look older. See? And it's okay if the ink goes off, we can go over there later. So yeah, and this beating actually causes some creases to happen, which is great, but more natural looking creases. Okay, this is fun, people. This is fun. Look, I love this technique. I have no idea if anyone else in the world ever did it, but I have no knowledge of it. So for as far as I can know, I invented this. Okay, this looks actually rather good. A few last beatings. So see, this is what an old piece of paper looks like. I'm gonna ink the edges a bit more. Get everywhere where the paper has gotten a good beating. Okay. There, and I'm gonna glue it here, but in the center, so the edges will still stand up. And that is why I used sturdier paper also. Now, if the edges are going to stand up, you will see white. And vintage and pure white don't really match, so I'm gonna use this piece of scrap paper and I'm gonna actually go over the edges. So if you get a peek under that little edge, it won't be white, just the edges, like this. Beautiful. And if you do that with an old photograph and you want it a bit more antique, you can even go lightly over there as well, if you like. If you have a light color of ink, of course, like this one. Ooh. Okay, so me happy. Oh, I like you. So, and now I'm going to glue this right here. And for that, I'm simply going to use some double-sided tape, but I'm not going to go along the edges precisely like I normally do, but about here, like 3/8 of an inch inside, small centimeter. It doesn't really matter. So about here, about here. This. I'm also going to do a little bit of glue in the center as well. So, and then some glue in the center. And I'm gonna position it. Yeah, I'm gonna position it in the center right here. There we go. Lovely. And of course you can layer more of these types of paper on top as well if you like. Now, and you can do exactly the same for, let's say, this card and put it in the envelope, or these beautiful botanical platey style papers. Just cut it out, beat up the edges, and you can just put them in here. I did the exact same thing to this piece as I did to that piece, and now you can use it inside these envelopes. There fits a lot in these envelopes, by the way, or paste it somewhere else in your journal. You can do a lot of things. So, put it here. And to finish off this journal, I am going to attach this little piece of metal under here. And I want it to really stick well, so I'm going to use liquid glue, Fabri-Tac, for this. But if I'm going to apply it like this, 3/4 of the glue is just going to come out here. So I'm going to pour a little bit of glue on this piece of scrap paper. Should be enough. And I'm going to apply the glue with a toothpick. So it's not going to be perfect at all, but it's going to be way better than when I would apply this immediately from the bottle. Okay, I need more. And just put the glue on all sorts of places where I can actually add a good amount of glue. As I said, it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be okay. Okay. I'm gonna hold it for a little bit longer just to be sure that it sticks. Yes! So, this was a tutorial to make this journal and some extra ideas to embellish the journal as well. Thank you for watching this video tutorial. Don't forget you can discover this Botanical Compendium Junk Journal Project Pack in our shop. The link is below. And I wish you a truly beautiful day. Bye bye!